Hi everyone. Okay, I think we can start. Okay, just to check, can you hear me and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so happy new year everybody. Really glad to have everybody here for the first meeting of the year. And then today we have some things lined up. I think we're gonna have our first sort of final IC memo pitch. So that will I'll talk about that later. But then for today, it's mostly that, and then some updates from the teams. But most of the process is still the same. I'm just gonna go through this quickly. It's not too much to talk about. Overall, it looks pretty gloomy wherever you look, but um, some small things to look at. So, I think especially for the states, not much has changed. For China, as some of COVID restrictions are lifting, but that also means that China's is kind of like same thing as December. It's kind of perpetuating now even more, but it's definitely going to have its effect on the economy, and then also for Latin America, the strong dollar. And then also it's gonna impact its exports and stuff, and its currencies are also coming under a lot of downward pressure. But I think especially since there's the team from Spring looking at EVs. I think moving forward, it'd be interesting to keep an eye on as a like commodity, but also especially lithium exporter. Yeah, so it could be something that we could look at on the macro side. But I won't talk too much about this today. This thing as well, same as before, um, just to kind of refresh that for everybody. And this thing as well is just another reminder to everybody. So to anybody who right now doesn't have either a professional mentor, or if you're not the most senior batch. So if you're one of the more junior batches, then if you don't have a mentor that's a senior right now, do let me know. I'm trying to get everybody attached to somebody so that nobody has to do this alone. Um, and then do try to fix a date for when you want to get your first idea out, and then just remember that there's a deadline for getting it to us before June, and then ideally we won't just have like a huge inflow in like May or June. Yeah. And then yep. So this thing, not much change as well because we have such a huge cash position, but so that kind of segues today. So it's sort of a continuation from last month when we first discussed more about increasing our position in Alibaba. So today, the team has gone back and worked on improving their analysis and started doing their evaluations. And today, they've done a lot of hard work, and they've come out with a very complete IC memo. So I think I'll just hand it to them, and then they can brief everybody on that. Yeah, let me just stop sharing. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let me share my screen now. Okay. Can I see my screen?
It's loading.
Is it okay?
Okay, I think we have to give it some time. Okay, yep, it's up.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna build on what we have presented last week. So this is basically our investment thesis on the main points or reasons of why we are actually buying our Alibaba. As stated, I think that was like a month ago, we are looking mainly at Alibaba because of its still strong e-commerce and commerce segment, as well as its cloud. So the first reason for why we are thinking that its commerce segment will be going into the future was because, number one, we think that the easing of COVID restriction in China will bring about a lot of certainty compared to the very uncertain business environment that Alibaba was operating in the past 2 years. And this will also bring about general economic growth, translating to higher spending from the population. Yeah, for e-commerce platforms like Taobao, I think they would, despite like this period of logistics shortage because of like the huge wave of COVID, I think this would be better compared to last time when sporadic lockdowns throughout the country brings like a lot of disruption to individual provinces. Yeah, so this would be better for e-commerce and commerce because Baba has a lot of brick and mortar offerings like Hema Shenzhen going for, yeah. So they will stand to gain from the easing of these restrictions. So the second reason why we think that Baba's commerce is good is because that even though that like the market now is like there's a lot of competition from like Pinduoduo, Jingdong, as well as like there's a portion of competition from live streaming platforms like TikTok who are trying to monetize their viewers, like viewership. There are a lot of like users through doing like live streaming commerce. Like Baba has dealt with these by introducing their own solutions, which we think will adequately protect their user base against this competition. Like for example, they to tackle like the in Chinese what we call the 下沉市场, basically the third and fourth tier cities users in China, which Pinduoduo is mainly targeting at. What Taobao did was they came out with Taobao Deals in 2018, and within 4 years, this app reached over 300 million users. So even though this is still fewer than the 900 million users of Pinduoduo, it shows that Alibaba has the ability to leverage its network effect with the manufacturers and consumers network to quickly gain users to battle with against the competitions in these segments. So as for live stream commerce, right, Alibaba has already integrated a lot of live streaming elements into Tmall and Taobao. So overall, we feel that with its already large size, they would be able to continue to fend against competition and generate very good income and cash from this commerce segment in the future. Yeah. So I'll hand over the cloud segment to Olivia.
Okay. So if we consider into the external effect, like the China heavily relies on the import on the CPU or operating system. It's so with our Chinese domestic production capacity is kind of weak, and the CPU and the operating systems domestic production rates almost occupied 0.5% and 1.2% respectively in 2020. So as the United States gradually increased the restriction and the sanction of the exporting CPU and operating system to China, so there is a high risk that China will lose their suppliers of this. So while government puts a lot of spending on it and efforts, and also enact the relative policies on developing the domestic production ability, and also to promote and encourage the digital economic development. And for the with the digital economic scale as the percentage of GDS in 2021, it almost occupied 40%. So like the digital economy, it's kind of became the very strong driver to our country's economic development. And there is the three main policy, I think, which governments need to act support and promote the digital economic. The one I wanted to mention specifically is the third policy. It's a China National Big Data Computing Project, and the Chinese name is 东数西算. So it's basically because of the uneven distribution resources happened, because in the eastern region, it's a kind of intense of the resources. And in the Western places, there are so many ideal resources like the land property and electricity or the water source. So in the Eastern region, there is very high requirement and demand of the data base or data analysis. So they're trying to remove this process into the Western places and establish the data centers and to calculate the data storage in the Western places. So it's kind of a horizontal development from the Western to the Eastern. Yeah. And it's well helpful to achieve the green development and also helpful to develop the digital economic. Yes. And the next reason, this is the first part to consider the positive external effect and also the supportive policy on the digital economic development. The second reason is to consider the cloud computing industry, because of if we develop the digital economy, and they will have a very high level requirement of the software and hardware. So due to the aforementioned policies, and there is there is a very strong support to the cloud computing industry, and also consider the macroeconomic development. Due to the fiscal policy, the government increases spending on the building infrastructure, for example, like the 5G technology and network storage or database or big data, this thing. And the second reason is like the kind of stable monetary policy, like the government adjusts the interest rates to stimulate the economic. So it's good as the cloud computing industry developed. And the third reason in it is because the cloud computing has a very huge social value in the use or the recycling of the resources to achieve the green development, and also it's very helpful to the urban planning, like traffic, in infrastructure building, and also the medicine, the finance industry, and also the government information processing. Yeah. So for the fourth reason is I have already mentioned, because of the high level requirements of the software and the hardware. Computing, like cloud computing, is a kind of a driver to develop on the development of the CPU and the operating system development. Yeah. So the third part is about the iCloud itself. Well, iCloud has a very comprehensive layout on the cloud, big data, and AI. Well, since in 2009, the iCloud has already started to develop its own cloud computing open operating system, which called Feitian, and this is kind of the first self-developed operating system in China, and before that, only Amazon, Microsoft, Google have this technology. So it's also established a very strong position in this industry for iCloud, and it's also kind of enhanced the iCloud's core competitiveness. And the next is about second breakthrough computing power is they create their self-developed CPU called Yitian 710, and also it has already put into a kind of large scale application. And because of the operating system Feitian and the CPU Yitian, AliCloud has already established its own cloud infrastructure, which with a very high computing performance and lower power consumptions. So it's kind of lowering the threshold for the companies to using the cloud computing service. And the third is like the AliCloud provides a very comprehensive services on the IaaS, and the SaaS. So they have very lots of product kinds, almost 400 to 500 for the PaaS products, and it has really over than the Tencent and Huawei. Yeah, so it's a can provide more options for the client. And the fourth part is about the new strategy, which just from the AliCloud, it's called 云丁一体, and using English is kind of the integration of AliCloud and DingTalk. Well, after the pandemic, more and more company actually has already realized the importance of the cloud computing and accepts the cloud computing and enjoy its benefits. So we think like the end state of the cloud is not just to provide the simple IT facility, but it should be a kind of a comprehensive platform and can provide a wider variety of services. So AliCloud using this 云丁一体, trying to use DingTalk as the operating system, like the to-be entrance, it can enable the clients much more easily to through platform gets the cloud service from the AliCloud, and it also can enable the AliCloud itself much more easier to deliver their cloud service. The other hand is like the DingTalk also can be treated as a kind of PaaS platform, distribution platform, because it cooperates with other PaaS developers, so they can also offer their product onto this platform, and the client can through this platform to use the PaaS product to create their applications. The other way is like for the AliCloud, they hope that DingTalk's business can be much deeper, more than providing the digital office collaboration service, but also can provide a kind of more simplified way for the clients to create the application, which is the low-code development. It is a kind of way to quickly generate the application with low code or no coding. Like for example, for the professional programming, if they wanted to create or develop an application, usually they will run a very complicated or long code. But the low code development is kind of simplified this process. Usually the clients just only need to use a mouse to click the button or drag or drop the icons on the platform, and they can develop the applications. So it's kind of an easy way for clients to developing the applications, and also improves the efficiency and reduce the operating cost. So for the 5 points of the cloud computing, like AliCloud now in China is the largest cloud manufacturer by revenue, if considering the revenue. And last year, the AliCloud computing generated the revenue about 74.6 billion yuan, RMB, I mean, and the adjusted EBITDA of the Ali Cloud was 1.2 billion yuan, and the Ali Cloud is the only company manufacturing in China got profitable. Yeah, so we think there is a very huge space for Ali Clouds in the future to have the continue expanded on the revenue due to the good policies and the good booming period, industry booming period, and think about the Yunding Iti strategy. So there's a strong mode in the cloud computing segment. And if we see the market share in PaaS and IaaS, like Ali Cloud also occupied the very primary position. But if we consider compared with the foreign market share of the IaaS and PaaS, like Chinese market share only occupied the 8% of the foreign market share. So there is a huge space for developing in the Chinese domestic cloud market. Yes, and the next part is about the risk. Well, the first risk we think is the regulatory risk. Like in China, the regulation causes a lot of uncertainty, and the ants trying to do the IPO in 2020, but they failed, and the authority stopped them. And this really caused some damage on the revenue or the stock price of the Alibaba. And the other policies caused the damage is anti-monopoly to the e-commerce segment. But we think like this in the short term, it did cost some revenue slowdown. But if we think in the long run, other competitors they are also like under this regulation, so it will be kind of relatively helpful for the development in the e-commerce industry. So we don't think this anti-monopoly in the long run will be a kind of huge risk. And the second risk is about data security. Like I think this probably not only exists in China, also exists in the global industry. It's the data security, such as the data leakage or the data fraud. So Ali also has to pay more attention on this, and they're trying to provide the security to protect the database, and also offer the services to protect the client's data. The third risk is about the relationship between U.S. and China. Recent years, U.S. and China's relationship is kind of intense, especially in the auditing of the Chinese company, which has already listed in the U.S. market. And last year, China and the U.S. reached an agreement on Chinese market audit, and so the U.S. county regulator will inspect the Chinese companies' auditing problem. So, but in the future, there still have the possibility for the Alibaba, we'll have the auditing problem. So the solution Alibaba did is they also list in Hong Kong. So it should be a way to neutralize some risk, I think. And the fourth risk we think is about the live streaming attracts user in the e-commerce segment, because the rapid development of the live streaming e-commerce, it's really caused some damage on the MAU or GMV of the Ali. So, but we think this also, well, in the short term, this is kind of have some bad effects for the Alibaba's revenue, but for the long term, we think this won't be the problem because for the live streaming e-commerce, the customer can only buy the limited products from the KIO because they have the selling purchase list and it's a limited. There is some limitation on their list, and the product type is kind of have a few diversified. I mean, only include cosmetics and clothes category. So for the clients, there are not too many options. So basically, for the long run, the Ali e-com will have a kind of wider mode, and the customer will finally choose the Ali e-com. Yes, and this is my part.
Okay, so moving on to the valuation. So what we did was a DCF model with a propensity growth method and a multiple method. So using a TGR of 2.5%, we come out with the equity value of around $168 and using a multiple method of 16.7x of their EBITDA, we try to get like a value of around 173. So actually for my revenue assumptions that I use for my model, I would say it's rather more on the conservative side, assuming like only a 10 to 5% growth from their e-commerce segment in the next 5 years, and as far as only like a 30 to 20% growth in their cloud segment in the next 5 years. So I would say that the actual equity value might actually be higher like than this. Yeah. So this is the sensitivity analysis. And so our general conclusion is that we think that it's an internet giant that is facing a lot of competition in its core like business part, but it has very smartly like decided to pivot away from this competition by focusing on a very budding new industry that has a lot of like potential in cloud computing. And given that it was one of the earliest company to move into this segment and has a lot of heavy investment into Ali Cloud, including not just in the cloud segment but also like having a lot of other like I would say complementary investments such as in like CPUs, like there are a lot of like their research center in Da Mo Yuan. So we believe that they are very likely to emerge as a winner in the cloud computing industry. Yeah, and at the same time, because of its already large network effect in the e-commerce segment, it is unlikely for them to lose so much of their foothold in the commerce segment in the next few years. So their cash generation ability and is still guaranteed. So we think that overall they are severely underpriced by the market, due mainly to the regulatory risk in the past few years. And however, in the coming news recently has said that when addressing like their monopoly and their Ant Financial Group, the Chinese government has more or less wrapped up their regulatory attack on Ali. And the fact that the delisting is not as big of a factor, we think that actually now would be quite an opportune time to invest in Alibaba. Yep, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. That was a really good presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Olivia and Xing Xiang? I think especially the PMs, although Javier can't make it today, so Ophir.
Yes.
Yeah. So like could you maybe share like what are your thoughts on perhaps the fund trying to increase our holdings in Alibaba at this point in time based on what Xing Xiang and Olivia have shared, and our kind of opinion on this right now.
I would say what I initially said about Alibaba.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't feel and I don't think that I will ever feel comfortable researching them and forming an opinion on my own. because this company is too complicated for me.
Okay. Is that all?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in short, I don't know.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I think that's kind of the point of having all of us together, so that if somebody else is looking at the company, or like we can all look at different kinds of companies, and then but yeah, so like I basically wanted to be a part of when Jingxiang and Olivia were going through it, and then I'm of the opinion that we can increase our holdings. Right now, I think what Alibaba is doing, it's kind of like Amazon. It's an e-commerce giant that moved into cloud, and it's trying to find a way, and it has so many assets that I feel like it's being undervalued, and I agree with the team. So I think they've done a great job of sharing what their analysis is, and why they think that and there's been a lot of work that's gone into their valuation. And then I think for us right now, especially while we're waiting for a lot of you guys's pitches to come out, and then for us to have like a more of a pipeline of ideas, I think in the meantime it would make sense to take a bit of like the huge chunk of cash we have to maybe allocate about I think we have about 2% in Alibaba right now, and then I think we can top that up to maybe about somewhere between 10 to 15. Yeah. And then but not just the PMs, like anybody else who has like a differing opinion, especially if it's a opposing opinion on not even just opposing, so any like concerns you have, like this would be a good time to bring that up. Yeah, but otherwise we're looking forward to moving ahead with this. So I think the investment committee should be signing the paperwork because everything is ready. So everything for the initial memo is ready. We're going to be moving forward. I think just an additional note to everybody that so the team has done a lot of good work with this, but this is the initial memo. So what we are supposed to do with the portfolio is that if we increase our holdings, if we buy into something, like those names, you're supposed to keep looking at them, and your initial memo is not your final masterpiece. It's not the thing that you have to stand by even as markets change and your companies face new things. So you have to look into what's going on, what's changing, and you're supposed to make your analysis better. You're supposed to change your memo. You're supposed to look at what's happening to the prices and see whether there's enough of an upside, or whether it's time to sell, or whether it's time to buy more, stuff like that. So you're supposed to publish versions of your memo. But so basically what you guys see today, I think I hope it's a good example. It's something that's encouraging for you guys to just have an idea of what complete, so to just check off boxes, right, in a list of what you should be having in a initial memo before you submit a pitch, or before you try and recommend something to the fund. So this is what we should cover, but that doesn't mean that it's the be all end all. It doesn't mean that you just leave it at that and then you're never allowed to change your opinion. You have to not change your opinion, but you have to update it, and you have to work on it further. So okay, I think if I won't talk on for too long about this, but so I think just to let everybody know what we're going to do next, we're just going to move forward with the paperwork. And then yeah, I think let me just go back to the slides just for like a second. But it's, I think up next we'll just get each of the teams to just give us an update on what especially for spring, and then with Javier stepping up, and then also for Marido, just to brief everybody on what your the last bits of 2022, and also your plans ahead for 2023, and maybe just give everybody an idea of what you're working on, and then what we can kind of expect. Yeah, so I think we can start with spring.
hi Rebecca.
Yep,
Okay,
sure.
can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can.
actually I'm here, but I'm at work now, so I'll need to
It's
bounce
fine.
off pretty soon. Yeah, but just a quick update from us. So, for spring, me and Eugene will be continuing we'll be diving deeper into the EV coverage. So we'll be covering individual stocks now. We decided on BYD and NIO because those are pretty much two ends of the spectrum. One is more like premium,
Yeah.
and I guess one is more for like the budget
Yeah.
option. Yeah. So, by covering both, we can maybe decide which one to take a trade on, or if we end up buying both, it could be like like diversification
Yeah.
kind of play.
Interesting strategy.
Not sure how it will go, but yeah, we'll look into that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what me and Eugene are doing. Then for Yixing and Joey, they have been doing their Mercado Libre memo, which I think they would want to talk about for like a few minutes later. Yeah, they volunteered to talk about it. Yeah. And then moving forward, they will be doing Domino's, yeah, which was brought up before. So I guess over the past month, we were looking into it, and we decided that it would be a decent stock to look at. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Is Yixing here?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll talk about
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Okay, yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. So this stock has been brought up like I think late last year, and then so we decided to make a memo of it. Yeah. So I think as a recap, it has so Melli is like the largest marketplace payment network in Latin America with 6 business models. So in the fintech and e-commerce segment. So e-commerce makes up around like 60+% of the revenue. Yeah, and then a refresher of the investment thesis would be like in short, firstly, their logistic network expansion through like their acquisitions and that being a key driver for the e-commerce segment. And secondly, the expansion of the fintech services and payment volumes. And essentially what we think is that that in Latin America, there's quite a huge internet penetration, but then there's not a lot of like penetration for e-commerce there. So that's like kind of an untapped market for Mercado Libre. Yeah, and then the risk, so it's operating in a carried space, so it will be exposed to maybe a default rates, and also I think secondly is the depreciation of currencies in Latin America, and also macro risk like the inflation rate, interest rate, that adds on to the ability to pay back and sentiments. So our overall consensus is just to monitor the share price until it reaches this one. I think Xinhui did the model and then they reached the entry price, and we're not really there yet. And I think continuing to monitor through the earning reports. Like the next one will be in February this year. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's it for spring, and then yeah, okay, thank you, spring. I think Ophir, do you have any updates for Marito?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so can I just...
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So what is the kind of the team makeup right now, and then what is kind of have you guys been working on something, but it didn't like manage to come into fruition because of something? Could you share with us a little bit more so we can know what we can help with?
I don't think necessarily it is something that you can help with, because this is, and it's not someone's fault as well. I think our Asana platform is a bad choice, because after a month they basically locked us out.
so the team don't really have access to the stock list as it was before that. I think for every team, if you think about using a platform to research together, just go the paid way. Don't try to make things free. And Rebecca, honestly, I think it would take us a lot of time. And I think the team was quite busy with. These are obviously my excuses, right? But I don't want to. I just want to say as it is. It will take us time, and I wasn't really on the fixing the platform as I should have. I think we might move to some other platform like Airtable or something. It's also required that we have some sort of incentivize each other to research daily on their own, but this is something that, again, I myself need to do before I tell other people, suggest other people to do that. So no major updates.
Okay, yeah, I understand completely. So yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about the platform, and then it's okay if it's been a bit busy, and then you guys faced with everything, it's been difficult for you guys to get something that's real presentable right now. But I think on the platform, and then also like just a word of caution, or maybe even just a suggestion to everybody, I know like a lot of the very sophisticated tools, they seem they're very helpful, they can help you like organize, but I think do try to explore either. I don't recommend this because it might be additional burdens on you guys, but like if you can, maybe try to explore like Google Drive, maybe use like put your tables on a cloud that something that we can rely on a little bit more, or even use the WeCom storage. I think but do try to make sure that all of your hard work doesn't go to waste. So it's quite a pity if that happens. And then so if you need help, if you really want to use a platform, or if you really have you've discovered a tool that you think is really really helpful, you can actually let us know, and then maybe we can find out if there's a more sustainable and secure way for us to help you keep track and keep your all of your hard work. I think moving forward, so yeah, I think just do for Marito, like it's okay. I think you can just I'm not sure what happened.
Yes, Tofel, we can hear you.
Okay, I think it's Rebecca's connection.
Yeah, sorry, I think I got kicked out of Zoom, but I'm back. I'm not sure where I got cut off, but yeah, I think for Marito, moving forward, so as you guys get back on your feet to the so the NanoCap list, I think in the meantime, it's also kind of other than just getting back your list and then sieving through the companies. In the meantime, I think we're not really in the middle of, we're kind of just in like nowhere, but like nobody knows where exactly we are yet, but valuations are down. So if you guys honestly see any company that you're interested in, maybe it's not within your NanoCap strategy, or it's not what you guys initially planned on focusing all your time in, but this is a really good time for us. Like I said before, the economic outlook is interesting, so it's not as simple as just buying the dip. I think I just still kind of want everybody to look more seriously at the markets and like try to see what actual damage is being done to the economies, and maybe have factor that in when you're looking at the financials, or looking at how strong the businesses are. But like this is an interesting time overall, and if you see any opportunities, I don't I don't think you guys really need to stop yourselves from looking at anything just because you want to stick to the nano cap strategy. Even though I think it's interesting, but it's just a suggestion. In the meantime, I think it's good to try and get back on your feet and then get back the your strategy, get back your database, and then hopefully we can move forward quickly and then try not to repeat the mistakes we made so we don't lose all of your hard work. But yeah, so I think moving forward, maybe Ophir and the team members, I think do communicate with me. So do talk to me. Do let me know if stuff like this has happened, or during like when you're struggling with using a certain platform, if you need any help, so that I can know about it, and then maybe we can step in, so that we can get everybody like a chance to work on something that and then we won't have to lose kind of lose track of progress. And just always keep in touch with me so that I can make sure everyone is onto something, and then we can make the best use out of everybody's time. Does that sound good? Hello? Ophir? Sorry, could you hear that?
You able to hear me as well? Before that?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, yeah. So I just said yes.
Oh, okay.
It sounds good.
Yep. Okay, no problem. Okay, let me just jump back in. Yeah, so I think that's about it for today. I just have 2 announcements to make before we finish up. So yeah, to both teams, as well as the Baba team, so we can still make finalizations, but we're most likely gonna move forward with the paperwork, and then any other updates we can save it for subsequent memos. And then for the other 2 teams, I think just good work, keep moving forward, and then like I said just now, just keep communicating with each other, with your PMs, and then PMs do try to keep in contact with me. And then announcements, so we pushed back the MTI with Daniel. It was supposed to be in December, then we pushed it to January. Then I think Daniel's latest availability is for February. So we settled on 17th and at 8:30 same time. And then so Daniel, I've said this before last month, but Daniel is so kind to take out his time to help us as a regular mentor, and then to also host this session with us. We're just gonna we're also going to publish a little write-up for the session. So, but then just to kind of let you guys know, so that maybe you guys can figure out your schedules and then see if you can block out a time. It's just to also to show our gratitude to a professional who's really sacrificed a lot of their time and energy, and he's been so kind in trying to be a part of a community, and I think we should reflect that in our enthusiasm and being active participants in the sessions. So do try to make it if you can. Do try to shift things around your schedule for this date as of right now. If you really want to attend the session but you can't make it, you can also let me know. We can let you have access to the recordings, or maybe we can even shift the timings around if too many of you can't make it a certain day, but do let me know. And then second thing will be CNY is coming up, so Chinese New Year, so we won't be having anything. This is kind of why we shifted today's meeting to today, to tonight, so a Friday instead of a Sunday. But it's just to give all of our friends who celebrate Chinese New Year some time to spend time with friends and family and not have to worry about this. And then for the last Sunday of the week, so usually we don't have anything on the 5th Sunday, but we're scheduling the 3D printing sector review for the 29th, and that will be happening at 9 p.m. and then we'll be sending the link into the group as well. So do come and listen if you're interested, and then hopefully you'll learn something new, and then maybe you might even want to start looking at a company in the industry. But that's actually all I have for today. Is there anybody with a burning question or something that has to be shared right now? we can let everybody know. If not, then yeah, that's all for today. Yeah, so yeah, have a super fun weekend ahead, and then for those who celebrated, happy Chinese New Year. Yeah, and
Happy Chinese New Year, guys.
Happy Chinese New Year, guys.
thank you.
Chinese New Year.
Alright, if not, that's all today. Thank you everybody for coming. Bye bye.
Thank you, Rebecca. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.